the places where all the things meet, yeah.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Posey Chand, and welcome to Pathways 2022, a gala for equity hosted by Mobile Pathways. They're at the beautiful Bouchan Winery located in the southern tip of the Napa Valley. So, welcome to all our virtual attendees. We have a jam packed agenda tonight. For the next hour, I hope you can stay with me as we celebrate another successful year of growth and reach in the immigration justice space. Don't forget to subscribe to Mobile Pathways channel and consider giving generously to support our work. There are two ways to give. You can text equity22 all lowercase to 50155, or you can visit our website and click on the donate button. Details are in the description down below. Thank you so much. First off, we have a fireside chat with two of my favorite abogados in the whole wide world. They are both highly regarded immigration lawyers from Texas. Please welcome Jody Goodwin and Ruby Powers. Hi, ladies. Just a
Hi,
little
Posey. Hi,
introduction.
Ruby.
A little introduction. Jody was the original inspiration for the concept of Ola Abogada and later on Ola Asistente. She serves on our board of directors. And Ruby is our newest member to our board. And we've actually met in person just in California a little while ago, and we had a great time. Welcome to our fireside chat. So, Jody, I'm going to start with you. Why? Why immigration? Why are you so passionate about immigration rights?
Yeah, I think that the answer to that is a bit of a long story, but to make things, short for YouTube Live, it's a combination of my upbringing where my mother always taught me when you see someone that is either disadvantaged or is not being heard or doesn't have the same type of privileges that you do, that you should give that person a hand. And throughout the years, I had to really reflect on myself and what were my talents and how could I be useful in terms of using those talents for good. And it came to pass that I was pretty good with language. I do speak two languages, and I'm a very empathetic person. I listen well, and I try to make sure that I can hear people and use the logic, I guess, that I learned in law school, which was one of the talents, to figure out puzzles and um, bring people's lives, into something that is fair and just. And I'm happy to be able to do that, making the combination of language and empathy and logic, and it just all fit together for me to become an immigration lawyer.
It's amazing. Logic and talent and passion, these are great things that we can all draw from. Doesn't matter what field you're in. That's awesome. So I'm going to turn my attention to Ruby here. Ruby, you are the newest member of the Mobile Pathways board. So what drew us to you? What excited you to join our efforts?
Well, I met Jeff O'Brien at the ABA Tech Show in March, and I thought it was sort of curious. I'd never met him before because when he told me about Mobile Pathways, I realized I knew half the board through a lot of my advocacy in immigration already. And so I was like, I already know a lot of these people. It just seemed like it was just a matter of time. But I was inspired for the story of using technology, being agile, advocating for immigrants' rights. Seems to be a focus on the asylum and immigration court, which is definitely in need, and working with other like-minded individuals who are passionate about human rights and immigrants' rights. It just seemed like a natural fit. So I'm excited to have joined the board.
That's awesome. We're so glad to have you. So, Jody and Ruby, I'm going to ask you this question. I know you guys were recently at the border, and I've not heard a lot of the details. Can you tell us a bit more about that experience? I'll start with Jody here.
Sure. I actually had the privilege to have Ruby come down as part of a state bar committee that she's currently serving on, and I used to serve on and was the chair for a number of years. I'm always at the border. So it wasn't anything surprising for me to show up at the border, but it was really nice to have Ruby and the rest of the committee here. Um, just a bit about that trip. The state bar has a committee on laws relating to immigration and nationality, and it it has people from all different walks of life. It's not just immigration lawyers. And with that committee, they try to go to different places, different areas in the state of Texas to be able to give the committee a broader perspective about what is going on in immigration and immigration law. So that's why they chose to come to the border. And it's always nice for them to come to the border because you never really understand what happens at the border. Even if you hear about it academically, numerous times, you can never really understand what the process of processing people, if they're apprehended by the Border Patrol, where do they go? What do they do? What do those places actually look like? What do they smell like? What do they sound like? And how do they feel? And being able to be at the border and see everything firsthand, it really helps to make people understand what that process for immigrants is like. So I was very happy and honored to get to meet with the committee and catch up with Ruby a bit, since it's been a while since we were all together through the pandemic. And I know that Ruby saw some things that were pretty interesting and exciting to her. I had already seen them before, so I'm not going to give you my reaction. But I'm sure that if you ask Ruby about some of the things that she saw, that there were probably more than one thing that really were able to shed some light and make a new understanding about how things operate on the border.
Amazing. Ruby, let's hear it.
Well, yeah, I feel like Jody and I have so much in common. I'm the vice chair of the committee this year, and what I love about it is that we get to interact with government officials directly and have tours. And really, the goal of the committee is to have that direct interaction so we can go back to the state bar lawyers and report back on how they can better advocate for their clients and know what's going on. And so in just one day, I got to check in with Jody, and she gave us an update on what was going on. We spoke with someone from Project Dignity, was giving us an update about Title 42 exemptions. I was able to get a tour directly from CBP at Fort Brown, and in that tour, we got to see how when they apprehend an individual, the protocols and what they do internally. And you're right, Jody, it is very eye opening. You can hear about it through your clients, you can hear about it in the news, maybe academically, but to actually see it and talk directly to the decision maker, the leader in the space, and just visualize it down to the details is very helpful. And just also realizing all the moving parts that are happening at the border between Title 42, the ending of migrant protection protocol, even SpaceX and all of what they're doing in the valley and their impact. And then I was able to tour a port in Brownsville, and we got to see it was the last day of migrant protection protocol, otherwise known as Remain in Mexico. So it was actually a historic day, and they were winding down the tent courts, and they're planning to do construction to build a brand new facility for a 1957 built port. But I learned about the Title 42 exemptions more directly. and humanitarian parole, and what people are doing to come in. And so, I mean, it was a great experience, and I could probably get into more of the nitty gritty, but there's been a lot of shift in immigration the last 2 years, and it's a lot. Even though I practice immigration every day, even on weekends and evenings, I took away things that I didn't know.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Knowing your extensive experience, Jody and Ruby, what do you think is needed in the immigration space to make things work out a little bit more humanely, a little bit more smoothly? Um, Let me start with Jody again.
I'm going to venture to guess that Ruby and I probably have some of the same bullet points. Um, the I used to say that there were 3 bullet points that needed to be addressed in order for there to be some real change in immigration, but I really think that it's 4 now. First and foremost, we have to update our laws to be able to keep pace with the global economy, the global movement of people. And that has to be addressed on several different levels. First, we have to restructure our family based immigration so that families can be united and not have to wait so long in order to be able to immigrate to be near their family members. Secondly, we have to revamp what what it is that we require of businesses and companies and industry that needs talent from other countries. We have to get that process to where it's more real world in terms of being able to recruit the best and the brightest, as they say. We need that to be fixed as well. We also need enforcement to be fixed. And in doing that, especially in this day and age, and you know, given that Mobile Pathways is all about using technology and leveraging technology to be able to, you know, make it more efficient and more accessible, to meet the end goal. The, the enforcement process needs to take a play from our book, if you will, and that would be to leverage technology and leverage what the government can use in terms of intelligence to create smart, prioritized enforcement. And then finally, what I would add is it's time for the US asylum and refugee laws to come into agreement with the rest of the world. Um, since the Cartagena Convention, when the US and a few other communist countries chose not to sign that convention, which expanded asylum law, it has been very difficult to be able to make a case for asylum in the US. And it's very, very cumbersome and technical to be able to understand. So I think that that fourth bullet point has to be bringing the US on par with most of the rest of the world in terms of its acceptance of asylum and refugees.
Great bullet points. Thank you so much. Ruby, what do you think? What do you think is needed in the immigration space?
Well, I agree with Jody, and having practiced 14 years and even other years in the immigration space, um, I would just say that we've worked in legislation, we've worked in advocacy, and because immigration is so complex and affects so many different departments and facets, it's hard to wait for this beautiful comprehensive immigration bill. And generally, what happens is little bills, little things. Maybe if we're lucky, but really, what happens is policy changes, reinterpretation of policies, case law, those little things have big impacts on people's lives. Yes, I agree with everything Jody said, but we also, that's what we would love to see. But in the meantime, you know, small incremental changes getting us closer to that. One small change has a ripple effect on many of our clients' lives, and including in the bullet points is also for the dreamers. We need to see change and a future for them, because they're the oldest dreamers, 41 years old, and they're still walking on eggshells and not knowing what their future may hold. I think what's great is that USCIS and think maybe EUIR and Department of Justice are trying to upgrade with the technology that helps with efficiency and advocacy from the attorney side and for access from clients. Um, I attended Dreamforce recently as a part of Mobile Pathways, and seeing the potential that government agencies can become more efficient will have huge impact, and that's going to be something we're going to see in the next 3 to 5 years, I think. So, but you know what? Immediately, we're seeing people coming and applying for asylum. We're seeing immigration court filling up again, and that's why every day these reforms are delayed, which has been years. People's lives are affected, and we're on the front lines. Jody more, directly on the border than I am, but I am in Texas, and where our case law is not friendly, and but we're fighting for our clients' rights, as we're also fighting on for advocacy to improve the laws and policies for the future.
Step by step, I think we can get there, and we're certainly helping to push for reform and push for more access to information and just more incremental change, as you guys said. We'll get there. Before we wrap this portion of the Fire Chat up, I'm asking everybody this question at the event, and I will start by answering as well. What do the words freedom and justice mean to you? I think everybody would agree that freedom is the ability to read what you want, say what you want, think what you want. To me, I think for this year, the reflection comes from the word justice. Justice means when someone is listening to your story, they give you the benefit of the doubt to say that that's your lived story, that's your lived experience, and that they don't just right away um, um, brush you aside and treat you differently. So that's my personal reflection. Jody, what do you think freedom and justice mean to you?
Partially, I think they go hand in hand, but the first thing that comes to mind when I think of the word freedom is thinking back to the stories that I've been told over and over again by asylum seekers here at the border. And what comes to mind that sort of ties all of their stories together is an ability to have self-determination, not just to say what you want, do what you want, think what you want, but to have the ability to make every single decision your own decision and not having ideas or events or actions forced upon you. Um, I think I would sum it up as autodeterminación, self-determination. That's what freedom means.
That's
Now, justice,
amazing. Yeah.
that's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit more difficult because what what could be just for someone may be completely unjust for someone else. And I think truly when you get to the bottom of it, what justice really is equality in every aspect of our lives. Being able to be equally heard, being able to equally speak, being able to equally govern, being able to equally participate. I think justice for me would be that we all recognize that um, when we're hurt, we all bleed the same, and that humans should be treating humans the same.
Great answer. Ruby, what about you? What do the words freedom and justice mean to you?
Well, I've been doing a lot of asylum work for lots of nationalities, especially Afghan right now, and I'm looking at I-589s, the asylum application, and I'm just thinking, to have those protected grounds protected, the ability to have, your religion, your race, your nationality, your political opinion, your particular social group, whatever it may be, the right to be who you want to be, and it be protected. And we take all of this for granted, those living in the United States. When you think about, I mean, I echo what Brody said, but when you think about justice, I mean, it's so common, the impunity of our clients. We ask them, almost knowing the answer, did you go to the police? And they say no, because they're not going to be protected, or we'll let your government protect you, and they won't, and it can't. And a lot of times, judges and asylum officers, I mean, they see this a lot, but there's just this assumption that the default is whatever it is in the United States. But in reality, even we don't have full justice for everyone. And I I I think that, yeah, I agree with the equality, and that can be different things for people, but just I think, as those of us who work in this immigration space, especially humanitarian and asylum, um, we see so many things that really makes us not take what we have in the United States for granted. And I think we truly understand the feeling and the definition of freedom and justice more so because we know that our clients don't have that.
Thank you for that heartfelt feedback. Thank you for our virtual audience. Please stay tuned because there's a lot more to come. Ruby and Jody, thank you so much for this portion of the gala event.